Hey
Ladies
guys.
and gentlemen, my name's Jan Rook.
And my name's Mark Paul Wake.
And we're here to pitch to you today a new British feature film called A Mile in His Soul. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have actually given money to somebody on the streets, then wondered whether that person is actually homeless, or indeed whether he gets into a car and drives off at the end of the day? There's been a recent news story in New York where a police officer has actually given his boots to a homeless person, only to find out at a later time that he wasn't homeless at all. So we've all seen people on the streets begging for money, trying to sell the big issue, but have we ever wondered what their backstory is, whether they are truly homeless or whether they are indeed scammers? I know I've never taken any notice before. In fact, I've always tried to give them a bit of a wide berth.
Looking into the research for the film, we discovered a staggering number of about 380,000 people who are declared homeless that live on the floor of their friend's house or in bed and breakfast at the moment. And including those that live on the streets, there's about 1 million people in the UK. Obviously, all these people have their individual stories about how they've got there, and that's kind of where the story originated from.
So, A Mile in His Soul sets out to show the plight of the homeless, but using humour to actually show up the scammers. It's a story about a man who goes from everything to nothing. He learns acceptance by actually being out there on the streets, trying to find his long estranged father, and indeed trying to win the heart of the woman that he wants the most.
The protagonist of the story is Malcolm, and he lives pretty much what he believes is a perfect life. He's got the money, lovely flat, good job, pretty lucky with the ladies, but for some reason he dresses up in these homeless clothes and he goes out on the streets. Is he searching for something? Is there a hidden message behind what he does? And this is kind of where the story takes us, and it brings Malcolm into the light, as in he needs to face the fears which he's hiding behind, ironically, the homeless clothes that he wears. So he goes from having a fantastic life to that of despair.
From sorrow to joy.
From hate to love.
From everything to nothing.
He suddenly realises by the end of the story that riches in life are not just material, but they're actually from love and passion and friendships. Myself as the lead actor, I'll be playing the role of Malcolm. My accolade so far is the Best Actors Award from the British Independent Film Festival. I'm working alongside Michelle Martin as the lead actress. We also have another 3 well-known actors interested in roles in the film, but we're just waiting for the funding before they sign the dotted line. The script was originally written for a Canadian audience by Morley Shulman, who's a Canadian comedian. A good friend of mine, Erin Linton, the producer, he lives down in England, and he got in touch and they discovered that they had a mutual kind of feeling for the story. He got in touch with myself and asked if I'd like to be co-producer, and I wanted to get on board because the story was so strong, and being an actor I really look for characters which have a kind of emotional journey, and I seen that was really obvious with the way that it had been written. We then took in the changing of the location because we had to obviously base it in Edinburgh. We had to edit the script because originally it was located in Canada, which obviously the way the homeless people react and live is different to here with the bins full of fire and the trolleys and things like this. The location of Edinburgh has a very iconic feel to it. Obviously it's got its grey stones on the outside and it's kind of old kind of style streets and roads, but it actually at night has all the bright lights and the glamour, which kind of reflects the 2 characters of Malcolm. His homeless kind of outfit is the grey stones, but his secret life is the bright lights and the businesses and the tall towers.
We're very lucky insofar as we've actually already got a distribution deal contract signed for the DVD and the soundtrack. We have the group Klaatu, who has a hit back in the 70s with Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft. So that's already there, waiting to go.
So to summarise, we've got the script.
We've got the cast.
We've got the crew.
We've got the location.
Yep, we've got the distribution deal.
So all we need now, everything is ready.
And all we really need is you.
I forgot what you talked about. It's the longest pitch I've ever heard.
Apologies.
I find it very hard to believe that a major company, a major DVD company, will give you a deal if you haven't got it actually made. Now, how have you managed to get them to agree to distribute or to put your DVD on their shelf? How have you done that? Teach me an old schmuck new trick.
We got in touch with Jimmy Starr, who's the co-owner of the distribution deal, and we sent him the script and the funders pack. And once we lined up the actors, he thinks that it is worth him signing the contract.
I'm not sure about, you know, the second part, but let's hear what the other judges have to say.
I'm really interested in the theme of what you're talking about because it's so relevant. The theme of your story may be too cynical, and that the humour might bring out the cynicism. So I like the idea as long as it is kept on track. You obviously give a good pitch and it's sincere, and I love Edinburgh.
Do you see this as a straight-to-DVD, or do you see it with
way
theatrical release?
The way the film's kind of been written, it's art house.
It's not commercial in that sense, it's art
It's
house.
not commercial in the sense, big actors and things like this, but hopefully the story will you kind of get a cult following. If
Can you tell me what your budget is?
Our budget at the moment is between £200,000 and £250,000.
Can I just say, I made a film with a company last year, 60,000. It got an award, got 2 awards in fact.
Congratulations.
And we're still looking for distribution. Distribution is good that you've got that, but equally, it's very hard to get your money back.
Yeah.
And
especially on an art house.
Yeah, and
film.
unless you can get it, I think, either on television or unless Paul in some way sees that this is a theme he wants to back in some way, I just wonder whether your budget's going to be far too high for what you expect as a return. So
I understand what you're saying, and we did actually look at the budget and kind of cut it back as much as possible, kind of bringing it back. Everyone who puts money in needs to kind of get their money back and hopefully a little bit more. I think the benefit we have is because we've kind of got a distribution deal in Canada and the States, it also comes across to the UK as well. So we've got a lot of different avenues rather than a lot of films that I've been involved in have been distributed just in the UK.
Places like Canada do support their film industry a lot better than we do.
I agree with that, yeah.
And there are grants and stuff that you can get if you based a teeny bit of it there or had a Canadian actor in one of the roles as well. So have you? I don't know whether you've pursued that at all.
We've got Jimmy Starr, who actually read the script and did the whole kind of distribution deal. He actually asked if he could get a part in it and then was given quite an integral role. It's a small scene, but it's kind of the pivot of the character to Malcolm. So we do have the Canadian actor in there. So it might be that we're able to go down that avenue.
That is an area that you can pursue. I just want to ask about the story, because you say in the daytime he pretends he's homeless, but surely that's when he does his work. Do you not mean the night time?
What happens is he kind of does this just as a laugh, and then through circumstances he actually becomes homeless by his own mistakes. He's living too much of a fast life, and he basically forgets to turn the gas off when he's cooking an omelette to run to work, gets cold for a late meeting, runs out, and the next thing you see him coming back after the meeting, he's just lost his job because he didn't prepare for it, house up in fire, he's not got his phone in his wallet, and he's just left abandoned, he's not got his job, and because he wasn't really a nice guy, he didn't have really any friends to rely on, so he suddenly goes into the shoes that he was trying to pretend to fill. And then he comes across Michelle, who's playing Kiki, who is the kind of female attraction, as you will, in the actual film. And she kind of, shows in the real life and sees in the thing that he's been playing at, how hard it is actually to be homeless, which joins into the question that you asked earlier about the kind of, it's okay kind of mocking a little bit in a sense of the scammers, but you need to be truthful to the people that are truly homeless. And Kiki brings Malcolm into the world of homeless people and shows him how cold it is and how hard it is to get food and the best places to go. It's a really nice scene as he's freezing, he's only got a shirt on. And Kiki takes her to this carpet warehouse and says, look, go in that dumpster, there's carpets, get a bit of carpet and wrap yourself in it. And then for pretty much the rest of the story, you see him in the cold walking with a carpet, keeping himself warm. But it's these kind of things that he's just oblivious to, because obviously when he got cold, he went into the coffee
we know
shop.
the beginning of this shtick.
Sorry, I've done it again.
No, I'm on your side, right? We know the middle bit. But everybody likes the end. I mean, how did it all finish up?
What's the resolution? How is it structured? Because if it's an art house movie, it wouldn't necessarily have a Hollywood structure, a three-act structure.
The resolution is he manages to find his father because Kiki is actually an undercover journalist and she's been undercover as a homeless person trying to find a story, which is where we've got the what's your story idea from. Eventually they discover that obviously he's been playing it homeless and she's obviously playing it homeless, and they fall apart and dislike each other. But she, through her connections, manages to find his father on the street and gets them back together. But with it being an art house picture, it's not that happy ending. It's the realisation of, you left me when I was a kid. I'm not going to run and hug you and give you a kiss.
Is the ending depressing then?
No, it's actually a very
Thank
positive
goodness for that.
ending.
I'm so fed up with depressing endings.
At least he finds his father.
Yeah, it's not the pitch. I mean, come on. Your £250,000 budget, what's the split between above the line and below the line? Between the soft, the
humans, the actors, and the production costs.